Soybean farmers may soon have more options to battle resistance. Pending regulatory approval, growers could be able to utilize Roundup Ready Xtend and Enlist Duo. But as we've heard in interviews during previous episodes of Market Journal, the rise in weed resistance means those producers will still need to have a diversified control program. At the recent Nebraska Soybean Board-sponsored Soybean Management Field Day in Auburn, Greg Kruger talked with us about how these new tools need to be managed.
We think back to '96, we had Roundup Ready hit the market. That was an introduction of a herbicide resistance trait that allowed us to use a herbicide that would otherwise kill the crop over the top for weed control management. Roundup Ready Xtend is the exact same thing, except for now we've got a trait for Roundup resistance and for dicamba resistance. And with Enlist Duo, it's the same thing, except for instead of dicamba resistance, we're talking about 2,4-D resistance. So these are new herbicide resistance traits that are going to allow us to use products that were existing on the market in a new use.
Right, and farmers probably love that they have a new tool to use, right? But
well, our soybean farmers in particular see this as a huge opportunity. We're dealing with resistance. We've talked a lot about that over the last few years in terms of mare's tail or horseweed showing up as glyphosate resistant in the state. Now we've got common ragweed, giant ragweed, water hemp, palmer amaranth, and kochia to add to that list. So we're getting a few weed species out there that are resistant. These are very problematic weeds, but they're resistant to glyphosate. 2,4-D and dicamba are actually both effective on a number of those weed species. So it gives our applicators a new tool to come over the top of soybeans like we have behind us and clean those up. This is a perfect site for that because in the background you can kind of see some of the water hemp and the mare's tail sticking up. In a year or two, when these traits become available, we'll be able to come and post-emergence and clean those up. But as we've mentioned in previous stories and stuff, it's really important that growers don't become reliant on this new technology or this new trait as the rescue for Roundup Ready, but yet another tool in the toolbox, so to speak.
With these new products, what are you emphasizing to producers on how to get ideal applications?
Yeah, so this is the most important part of what we're talking about with these new traits, is making sure that we get the application set up right. Roundup was really flexible, so we could spray it with a flat fan, we could spray it with the TTI nozzle, we could get a 100 micron droplet or 1,000 micron droplet, and we were going to get that product to work really well. With these new traits, with 2,4-D and dicamba, they're a little bit more specific in terms of the way we need to apply them, both in terms of making sure that we get effective weed control and making sure that we minimize the off-target movement. So in terms of off-target movement, it's pretty simple. We want large droplets. The larger the droplet, the better. In terms of weed control, it's unfortunately the opposite. We've got a really small range of droplet sizes that we are going to want for effective weed control. So what we're going to see with the Roundup Ready Xtend, Monsanto and BASF are really going to get behind the TTI nozzle. It's an ultra coarse spray quality. They're worried about the off-target movement. Dicamba seems to be a little bit more flexible in terms of droplet size on the large end. With Enlist Duo, we're really looking at making sure we get in that coarse to very coarse range. The extremely coarse and ultra coarse are probably just a little bit too large a droplet size for those type of applications to make sure we get really effective weed control from those products.
The resistance we've seen so far, do you think nozzle control or nozzle selection is going to be even more important as we move forward?
Absolutely. Both in terms of resistance management and in terms of efficacy, the nozzle selection is a very important tool that we have in our toolbox. There's no other tool that we have that can really give us the range that nozzle selection can in terms of droplet size.